morning. My name is Kirsty Dignam, and I am actually here to do a reading for the weekly energies, the week commencing the 8th of February. I'm surprised that I'm here. I'm continually surprising myself, which for me personally is a real relevant message because it's the week that we as a family have actually seen the end of my own mother's physical journey. Crossing over on the 5th of February, just a few days ago. I believed the world would stop turning, and in theory it has. It's put me now in a place of deep grief, and in this space of deep grief, contrary to what I believed, I feel more able to be aware of the collective without being involved in it. I feel more able to look at what is going on, to witness the energies without having my own personal take on it. There is a old saying, I can't remember the actual words, about the space of grief, and when you are in that place of in between worlds, in between times, in between situations, you are actually more open to being able to perceive exactly what is going on all levels, and I really feel that. So it feels like a beautiful opportunity actually to look at the energies of the week. And the cards that I'm going to use were a gift from my mother before Christmas. They weren't expensive, they aren't famous cards, they came with a book, a beginner's set of tarot, with the structures and beliefs behind what each card means if you were just starting out. And they are actually called The Secret of the Tarot. And it feels very poignant this week to know that there is no real secret behind the tarot, just like there is no real secret behind grief. There is no real hidden insights that only certain people can obtain when it comes to guidance or healing. All we need to do is connect to the energy. All we need to do is be present. All we need to do is be in our situation, wherever that may be, from the heart. And that gives us all that we need. So with that in mind, I'm going to go straight to the cards. The images are very blurry, which feels very relevant to myself this week, but also the collective, the energy at the moment. With Mercury being retrograde, it can almost feel like there's a lack of clarity. Mercury gives us a chance to look over what we've already seen and to decide if that's part of our reality. And for myself this week in particular, since the crossing over of my mother, which was incredibly sacred, right to the end, an incredibly beautiful process. But since then, I've had quite a rude awakening of areas in my life to look at that may not be as sacred, areas in my life, people in my life that may not any longer be resonating with the beauty and the love that I felt from my mother throughout my life, and in particular at the end of her journey. And that can be quite difficult, but that is the beauty of Mercury. That pause, that in-between going forward and in between the past, that being in the present moment. We can receive many insights that we may not feel ready to look at, but it is also trusting that we are given what we can cope with at any given time. So this morning I asked for a message from my mother, missing her desperately. I yearned to hear her voice again, just one last time, one last sentence of wisdom from her, from such an incredibly selfless person. And my sister sent me two recordings that she had sent my own sister, but for all of us. And one of them was about getting back up, that we've got this. And the other one literally said, I love you. How's that for a message? How is that for a message? What more could we actually want? What other clarity do we actually need at any point in our life? So with that in mind, I'm going to shuffle the cards and I'm going to look at the energy of this week with the remembering that all is love, and with the knowing that it is that will help us continue to get back up, that we have got this, provided everything is in alignment with that. So the energy for this week. I do feel peace. I do feel deep acceptance. I feel a yearning for quietness, for being, for the beauty and sacredness of going within this week. I've also got a very snotty nose all of a sudden, which feels like it's clearing from my third eye. A chance to truly see who we are and where we've come from. So Monday, Tuesday there's 2 cards, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And when I look at the cards at first, I feel quite a lot of confusion, quite a lot of noise. And actually what I'm really clearly getting is it's because it's coming from a mental place. All the time we try and seek the answers, it's coming from a mental place, and that's going to cause confusion this week. Overall, the energy is the 6 of Wands, which is victory, which is moving forward now, which is harmony in our desires and our ambitions with ourselves and the universe. I particularly like these cards because they can be quite simple. You know, I don't believe that the tarot or any language of the universe is limited. It's very vast, and it comes down to one's interpretation, and sometimes that vastness is what actually causes the confusion. Sometimes it's about seeing the bigger picture and bringing it down to now, and that can be short and sweet and blunt and in our own truth. So on this card for the energy of the week, it has the picture, it has the number. The picture is blurred, the number is clear, but it also has a written thing at the bottom of the card. And this one in particular says letter or news coming, victory news. Okay, so really applying that and keeping it quite simple. The victory behind news that is coming this week. So Monday, 8 of Wands. Again, we have speedy news or a situation coming, arrows of love. What I actually see in this card, I don't know if you can see it, what I actually see is almost like a battle won here, like a battle won, this big hill, this journey, and mastering of it now, and just letting go, just letting our arrows fly to where they need to be, not fighting it anymore. I really, really see that. And once we actually let go of this battle that we may have had with ourselves, each other, acceptance. I hear acceptance. Accept things for what they are. You know, often we can try and help people or change situations, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful to see one's soul potential is a real honor. But not everybody wants to see that. Not everybody wants that. And it's about standing back and witnessing and accepting things for how they are and who they are. Because that's where the real rapid growth will actually come from. That's where the arrows of unconditional love comes from. And it can be difficult. It can be difficult, especially if we see people in behaviours that may not help them to love themselves the most, but it's part of the journey. It's part of their journey, and what people generally need is someone to hold space. What we generally need is someone to hold space for us. And once we do that, everything slots into place. So on the Tuesday, we actually have 2 cards. The Knight of Pentacles, which suggests on this. It's very limited, but it suggests a young man up to the age of 25 visitors with a message to share. What I love about the Knight of Pentacles is that it's come with the Hierophant, a message to share. The Hierophant is the teacher. The Hierophant is the spiritual wisdom, which can be quite dogmatic. So Tuesday, look at how we share that message. The Knight of Pentacles is actually stood still on a horse, so quite firm and solid in what they believe in, but that can also be quite stubborn. So look at how we share that message on Tuesday. Tuesday speaks of a marriage, a government or public company, a corporate body, official building, or an official situation. And again, let's not limit to just that, but what I feel is an establishment on Tuesday and standing your ground with your wishes, but also being quite adaptable and flexible. So for argument's sake, with my own mother's funeral at the moment in the middle of Corona, I don't know how that's going to work out. I know what we would like, and we are very family orientated as a unit, but we may not get that option because of the restrictions, the COVID restrictions. So Tuesday, I really feel, even though we have solid energy in the Knight of Pentacles and quite grounded, firm energy in the Hierophant, what I keep hearing is adaptability is the key Tuesday. Wednesday, the Three of Cups, celebrations, bright happenings, coming together on Wednesday and celebrating. What do I feel about this? I do feel self-care here, and I do feel a need to really drink from your own cup and then celebrate this with others. Self-love on a whole new level on Wednesday. There's more for Wednesday, but we will go through the rest of the reading and see if the picture opens itself up. We may actually have the feeling on Wednesday, what are we, 8th, 9th, 10th, so it's couple of days before the new moon, we may actually have a feeling on Wednesday that there's more, that we are searching for more. And what I really feel is celebrating where we are Wednesday in order to allow that more to come in. So on the Thursday, it's the Six of Swords, and this card in particular says boat or over water travel, turning the boat out of troubled waters into calmer waters. I just feel like I want to pause. On the Thursday, I just feel like I want to pause. So when we try and turn ourselves into calmer waters, when we try and make things better, when we try and adjust things, that can actually cause more rapid water. And Thursday, what I'm really feeling is to just pause and allow the boat to naturally turn on Thursday. Just allow the boat to naturally turn, glide and float on Thursday. It almost feels like if we rush the process, so on Wednesday, if we are constantly searching for that thing that we feel is missing, we could really cause the rocky waters. Whereas Thursday, if we just be with the process, it will naturally turn itself around. But it does feel like being really present this week. On the Friday, we have the Seven of Swords, and this actually on this card speaks of plans, hopes, the wish card, and the highest minor arcana, which is completely different to everything that I've ever learned about the tarot or been taught. And what I feel is actually a bit of relief to look at this card in a different way. So on the Friday, to look at energy in a different way, beyond what we've actually been taught, and be open to that. And I can feel a real surrender and letting go. I just realised I might be leaning over my microphone. I can feel a real surrender and letting go of what I thought I knew. You know, sometimes, again, going back to the Tuesday, if we get really stuck and rigid in our old beliefs, we become our own dogma. We become our own restrictive practices, and there isn't really much growth from that. On the Friday, it does feel like, even though this card would naturally be associated with sneakiness or people running off with someone else's ideas or theft or whatever, I just don't feel that Friday. So maybe Friday, the loss of something could actually be a blessing. It could actually be a blessing on Friday to finally let that go. Now, it's a sword card, so it does feel like beliefs. It does feel like beliefs and mental attitude, just finally letting that go. On the Saturday, the Page of Wands, which speaks about a young woman up to the age of 25, but also travel over land. And what I really feel here is when we finally let go, when we finally let go of the teachings that we've had and the beliefs that we once held, the pages are very much like the aces, and it's that new beginning. It's that new beginning there. You know, in this card in particular, this person wears the robes. It's done the journey. A bit like Gandalf, the grey turning into Gandalf the white, has done the journey, has fallen and got back up, and is now ready to look at new horizons by letting go of all the old beliefs and acceptance that it's time to move forward. And that could be from people, situations, energies, even our old thought patterns. It may not be easy. It may not be easy. We are still in Mercury retrograde, so there's that energy of back, forwards, back, forwards, back, forwards. Are we really sure we're ready to move on from that? Because on the Sunday, we have the Seven of Wands, which is very much related to frustrations, but being able to overcome those frustrations, being on top of the situation as well. So it might feel like you need to defend on the Sunday your truth and what you stand for, but if you truly believe your own truth and what you stand for, it doesn't need defending anymore. It just is. So standing in that will be enough on the Sunday, believing it yourself, accepting it yourself. Often when we try and going back to today's energy, it feels like a full circle. Often when we try and get others on board with our ideas, it comes from a place of not actually believing it enough ourselves. We can have peace in what is our truth. Whether it's the same for anyone else or not really is irrelevant. It's your story and it's your truth. So let's have a little look. We've got a lot of sixes here. Well, 2 6s, which is harmony, speaks of harmony, and adds up to 12, which is the Empress and the Hanged Man. So looking at things from different perspectives, looking at yourself from a different angle and different perspectives here is what is actually going to birth the harmony that is needed this week. We have 1 5, very much linked to the change in the self. Change in yourself now, without projecting that onto others, without waiting for others to catch up or yourself to catch up. Real deep reflective week to look at yourself here. To celebrate in the 3 how far you've come, where it is you're going, and this birth that is waiting to happen, of the mastery that comes from the number 8. We do have 2 7s here, which is endurance, and added up is 14, but also the Hierophant. So the endurance that comes from knowing where you've been, knowing where you're going, but also knowing that at this moment in time, you're kind of in the middle of them, being gifted an opportunity to see, do you want to go back there? Do you want to take that forward? A real chance to build your own magic and your own foundations this week. And I can really feel that in my root chakra. Your own connection to your path. Your path doesn't have to be the same as others. It is your path. And only you know your path. There is no secret to the tarot. There is no secret to yourself. It is about going within and finding your own answers this week, most definitely, and standing firm in them. Standing firm in them. So we have 1 major arcana, which is the Hierophant, becoming your own teacher, becoming your own master, becoming your own institution here. I've learnt this one the hard way the last few days. I have, been contacted by a lot of people that my mother would say are unable to see past their nose. And she would say that with great fondness and great love and great patience. And it has helped me to see beyond my nose, to actually see what I need now in relation to everything and the journey that I've had and where I come from. So this week in particular really feels like that. It really feels like you've had an opportunity to build your own foundations. Now sit upon them, work from them, learn from them. It almost feels like there's no need to reevaluate your own structure now. I feel a complete birth, death, rebirth type energy here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 wands, 4 wand cards. So again, that structure of desire and ambition and your own spirit that can give you good footing and basing, but can also keep you quite restricted. Think of being in a box. Now, being in a box sometimes can really help when there's such vast energy out there, bringing it back to the center and bringing it back to the now. But again, that flexibility, always that flexibility to expand the box and come back in the box. So there may be times this week where you really feel like you can hold space for all of sundry. And then there may be other times where you just need to bring it back in. And what I'm really feeling is a contraction, almost a contraction that comes and then goes. So when your energy is depleted, when your spirit, your fire energy is depleted, be with it. Be with yourself. Get that balance now between the masculine and the feminine. A couple of years ago, we had very masculine type energy, push, 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 push type energy. And then the last year or two, we've had real deep feminine sit and observe type energy, allowing flow. In the next few months, what I really feel is a lesson in how to balance them, how to act when you need to and be when you need to. We also have 1 cup card. So again, it's the 3 of cups, but only the 1 cup card. So again, it's coming back to self-love and connecting to your own divinity here. Celebrating who you are, celebrating what you've done, and celebrating your needs, really celebrating your emotional needs this week. Really looking at how well you mother yourself. I'm very aware that in the last couple of years, I've actually had 4 maternal figures cross over. There aren't any more matriarchy in my family, which means I'm next. So very much about stepping up to that throne now with the Hierophant year, stepping up to that throne and starting with self-care. Always self-care, and then the care of others. What I hear is the power of 3 here. From the 1 cup card being a 3 of cups, I hear the power of 3. What you give out, you're going to get back. This week in particular. So swords, there are 2 sword cards. So the 2 of swords, and it actually adds up. I'm being drawn to the fact that it adds up to 13, which is death and the emperor. And the 2 of swords, very much peace. Whatever you can do this week, it does feel like there will be endings of old beliefs. There will be endings of old thoughts. There will be endings of old connections as well. I really feel that. Having peace with this. The 2 of swords generally has an individual with their eyes crossed over, looking down to your nose. Look beyond your nose this week. Don't be blinded to duality this week in particular, but have peace that everyone is on their own journey and everyone is at their own stage, yourself included. And be gentle with that. Come from the heart. I feel my hands are up like that's enough. Now that's enough. Learn when to say that's enough. okay, so that you can hold space for your own peace first and foremost, and then others this week in particular. And we have one pentacle card here, which is the Knight of Pentacles. Look after your body. Look after what is in front of you right now. Tend, nurture. We have a new moon coming up in Aquarius, and it does feel like an opportunity to look at what seeds have been planted regarding the bigger vision. So often we can get caught up in feeling like we're not moving forward, or that things have changed in a way that we didn't expect. But if we can be aware of the bigger vision, we are in the year of the Hierophant, but also the year of temperance. And what I'm really feeling here is death on one side, birth on the other, and just keeping that physical balance now, just holding on to that physical balance. So for me, I have been searching this week for something that's going to help my heart, and the Knight of Pentacles is very much sat on a horse. I have a great affinity with horses, their steadfastness, their ability to be in the moment. Connect to whatever power animal, whatever energy is going to help you this week to keep that balance, okay? That feels like the biggest thing this week. Because then we have the Queen of Wands. All it does is describe her. All this card does is describe a woman over 25. I'm actually Queen of Wands. Green eyes, blonde to red hair, positive, fiery, outspoken. Look beyond the image. Look beyond the description here. We are all Queen of Wands. We are all the royal divinity of our own desires here. Okay, be open to that. It's the only card, only queen where she's actually sat with her legs open. Be open to what it is you are creating now. Okay, own it. Own your own journey and your own path without others agreeing, without others confirming, without others... just you right now. Really connect to your own path. Now, for me, it is the horses. So with that in mind, I'm feeling really drawn just to pull one card from the horses. My ear got yanked down under the box. Don't be pulled down by the boxes that you've put yourself in this week. Listen. Really listen to what restriction is doing for you and to you. I can see a pen with a wild Mustang caught in the middle. So we have the 16th card, which would be the Tower card in the tarot. But obviously this is a set of oracle cards, so it's completely different. I see a horse here, wise beyond his years. Even though he's quite young looking, he looks very wise beyond his years. And what I see is a glistening tear in his eye, but that tear almost looking like a star. That release being part of the bigger vision here. We are about to experience the Aquarian new moon, and that is the Star card. It feels very much about having peace here, with our own sorrows, with our own releases, knowing that our prayers are heard through our tears. Being with the sacredness of our emotions, having harmony in the magic that they bring. So 1 and 6 is the Magician and the Lovers, but also adds up to the 7, which is the Chariot, which is moving forward. Linked to the Crab, linked to Cancer, in a sideways movement. My own mother was Cancerian, so I actually feel her presence more around me now than ever before, and I can really feel that she is guiding me in a completely different way. Surrender to that this week. Surrender to the emotions and what you are feeling, not from the mind, but from the heart, to release that confusion and be guided in a different way now, in a different way. So let me show you the card. This really reminds me of the initial opening of the third eye that I could feel at the beginning of the video. Let's have a little look. It feels really relevant that it's okay to look up what something is trying to say to you. It's okay to have a balance between the mental and the intuitive. It's okay. The Master of Sadness. Sadness or grief, the power of tears, release and rejuvenation. A tear at the edge of the sage's horse's eye catches the light of infinity. The gift. Sadness signifies it's time to let go of a relationship, job, or perspective that no longer serves you. Tears help you release attachment to an old way of being, really applicable for this week, rejuvenating you for the next stage of growth. The challenge. Some people are more afraid of sadness and grief than fear or anger, yet holding back those tears leads to despair and depression. Even real men need to cry. So it speaks of transitions. Oh, I love this. The author speaks of a horse that had passed. And she says, "I'm not ready for you to go yet," I would tell him, "but I will support you in leaving whenever and however you choose." As I cried, Noshe would lick and chew. Licking and chewing is often a sign of healing. The next day I would feel nostalgic, yet clearer, brighter, more open to the prospect of letting my good friend move on. Noshe too became brighter. Sometimes after these impromptu sessions he would race across the property like a colt, leaping and whinnying with joy, then huff and puff with such intensity I thought he might have a heart attack right there and then. Other times he would quietly stand next to his favourite mare, a little chestnut Arabian named Mary. Somehow, by crying together, we all seemed to get used to the idea of change. Then one day it hit me. Noshe was recovering the power and choice of sadness. We never think of sadness as powerful, but it is incredibly powerful to hold space and witness our emotions rather than trying to figure them out mentally or fix them. Of releasing his attachment to his herd, his numerous human friends, this world, and me, so that he could soar with a lighter, stronger soul. And when his final hour arrived, I was light enough to be there for him, without reservation, without clinging, without panicking, without begging him to stay for my sake, realizing that by helping me to cry, he not only reclaimed his dignity in death, but he opened my heart to infinity. So yeah, that's incredibly relevant for me right now with the crossing of my own mother and the time that she gave us to adapt and feel and reconnect and cry, and really share in that grief and that loss with each other. And it made a difference. It really made a difference. So this week in particular, let me just put them to one side. Feel. There's only actually one emotion card here, but it's a celebration. Celebrate your feelings. Feel into where you are. Don't let your mind take over now. Don't rock the boat with mental assumptions. Just feel and hold space for that. That's where true victory comes from. That's where the true lessons come from. And the secret to everything is energy, emotion, our emotions. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I shall speak to you later. Take care. Bye.